available using the SAP button on your television. The starting lineups and the kickoff are next. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Right about now.
Here in Houston, just about ready. Kansas City winning the toss, they defer, and so the Texans will receive. There is Cairo Santos, and back deep, the rookie Tyler Ervin out of San Jose State. Young man they took in the 4th round. Small school kid, pretty good debut last week. 110 all-purpose yards, 73 of which came on kickoff return. Santos boots it into the end zone, and Ervin is going to play it. Crosses the 10. Maybe a decision he wants back as he is brought down at around the 16-yard line, a 21-yard return. So here comes Brock Osweiler. Very successful opening debut as a Texan. And again, you have to keep in mind, this is the only 9th start of his NFL career.
However, he learned under Peyton Manning, one of the greatest to ever play the position. And so I think it does expedite his growth and development. Got off to a great start week 1 last week against Chicago.
22 of 35 in that game, as you saw, 231 yards, and really settled in after throwing that pick on their opening possession. This is the tight end, C.J. Fedorowicz, the 3rd-year man, former 3rd-round pick out of Iowa, brought down by Eric Berry. How about the starters for this Houston offense? A revamped look. Chris Clark, 2nd straight start, as Dwayne Brown, their all-pro tackle, still not ready to return from that offseason surgery. And Will Fuller, the 5th, the Philadelphia kid, former Notre Dame standout, and the young man they took 21st overall, most receiving yards by a Texans rookie in his team debut ever. On 2nd and 9, Texans call a running play. That is Lamar Miller for a pickup of a couple. It'll be 3rd down. How about the Kansas City Chiefs? Jay Howard, 57 tackles a year ago, 5.5 sacks in what was a career season for him. Dee Ford is their starter until Justin Houston comes back, the former 1st-round pick out of Auburn. And in the back, Eric Berry, his first game action in about 8 months last week. Of course, held out of training camp and the preseason. Says he was awfully sore after that very hard-hitting game and the come-from-behind win over the Chargers. Osweiler on 3rd and 7 from the gun, slinging it over the middle, and it is caught. That's Fuller getting right back to work. 17 yards and a Houston 1st down.
Getting right back to work on what they saw during the film study last week. The Kansas City Chiefs defense really struggled on these in-breaking routes from the San Diego Chargers receivers. Keenan Allen had a field day with that same kind of route you just saw from Will Fuller, the 5th.
107 yards on those 5 catches, not to mention the touchdown on that long screen pass catch and run. This is Miller showing some burst, crosses the 40, taking on tacklers, and brought down at the 44, a pickup of 8. We spent some time with Fuller on Friday, and we asked him, boy, how you keeping your head on straight after such a marvelous debut? And he said, are you kidding me? First thing Bill O'Brien showed us in the film room was my drop on what would have been like an 80-yard touchdown. You know these guys will keep him in check early on.
It's not humble pie, but down here in Houston, it's cobbler,
right?
They're going to serve up whatever they can to keep them humble.
So a good run sets up a favorable 2nd and 2 here. As once again, George Godsey, their offensive coordinator, will set up Osweiler out of the gun. Play action, he's going to take a shot. Up the seam, he's got Fuller! And he makes the catch. He bobbled it for a moment, and the rookie comes down with it in between Peters and Berry.
Wow,
52 yards.
Yeah, there is going to be Fuller, and it's just a real streak down. And then we talk about the big-time arm of Brock Osweiler. Look, he beats Peters. Peters gets turned around, and he's not able to get back to defend on the play. And look at Fuller. He nearly dropped it. He was so wide open. Berry can't get over in time to help. Fuller, huge addition to this offense.
Incredible concentration, and how about doing it against Peters? You see the play clock down to 1. Quick strike, end zone near side intended for DeAndre Hopkins. and that pass sails high and incomplete. And we saw Peters, Solomon, last week struggle with Keenan Allen before he went down, of course, with that devastating knee injury. So Peters has been a little bit shaky first couple of weeks.
He had such success as a rookie. Things just kind of happen easily. He's a very talented player. He tends to play very aggressive. And sometimes when you're overly aggressive, teams, they can pick up and scheme on what you did as a rookie and now use your aggressiveness against him.
Where do the Texans go here? You see three wides, top of your picture on second and goal. Braxton Miller in motion. This is Lamar Miller. Kansas City's defense holds. You know, one of the other things Bill O'Brien told us about this offense and the changes they felt they needed to make. Last year, he said every time we had to score, it seemed like we needed 14-play drives, 15-play drives. We didn't really have that home run capability, and that's been one of the differences early on this year.
They wanted to become more explosive on offense, and so they used the first-round pick on Will Fuller. They needed to have more balance in the run game, be able to get yards by the chunks running it, and they bring over Lamar Miller. It'll be interesting to see what they dial up here on third down.
8th play of the drive, third and goal from just outside the 2. Osweiler, pocket collapses, short throw, and it is intercepted. It's Peters for Kansas City. So for a second straight week, Osweiler throws a pick on Houston's opening possession of the game.
Osweiler, he took a gamble. We talked about Peters being aggressive. He jumped the inside route, was able to steal it away from Brock Osweiler to come away with an interception.
All right, so Brock Osweiler visibly upset during that timeout, throws a pick after marching the Texans all the way down to the Kansas City 2. And Marcus Peters, NFL's reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year, tied for the league lead with 8 picks a year ago, gets his first one here in 2016. So Alex Smith and the Chiefs offense on the field for the first time. First and 10 from just inside their own 20. Smith, quick strike, far side, and it is caught. That's the Pro Bowl tight end, Travis Kelce. Salmon, let's go back to the pick.
Yeah, the intended receiver was Braxton Miller, number 13. There he is right there. Covering him is Marcus Peters. Now, watch how Peters gets up on it. He gets physical right there and sees holding him. Now, watch him undercut this one. Now, that ball should not have been thrown there. It was a bad decision by Brock Osweiler, and Peters made him pay for that poor decision.
Five-yard pass play to Kelce, sets up a 2nd and 5. Smith delivers quickly. That's Chris Conley, the second-year wide receiver and former third-round pick. 5 yards and a Chiefs first down. Alex Smith, well, how far this guy has come in his career. Career highs in both attempts and completions last week, and that thrilling come-from-behind win over the Chargers.
No longer captain check down. He would always check it down. He plays a conservative style, but this offseason, Andy Reid said, hey, let's work on getting the ball down the field a little bit more and giving the wide receivers an opportunity to create big plays.
Anthony Sherman in motion, sets up at the top of your picture. On first and 10 from the 28. Smith, pocket starts to collapse and completes again. It's Kelce for his second catch. 11 more yards as the Chiefs move the chains again. Offensive starters, we told you both starting guards are down. Ja Reed among the guys stepping in. A veteran presence for Andy Reid. And how about Spencer Ware? Career high 199 yards from scrimmage in the victory over San Diego last week. The third-year man and former 6th-round pick of the Seahawks back in 2013. So a good offensive start for the Chiefs. This is first and 10 from their own 40. Kyle Davis onto the field as Smith's pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage by Jadeveon Clowney, the former first overall pick back in 2014.
Clowney began to make more and more plays like this where he's flashing. Look at that. He was intuitive. He had a really good sense of understanding what was happening on that play, and that's where he really has grown as a player. His ability to stay healthy is going to be critical for the Houston Texans. When he's healthy, he flashes and make big plays like what you just saw.
Clowney playing defensive end last week for really the first time in his career. And it looked awfully good doing it on 2nd and 10. Chiefs keep it on the ground. That's Spencer Ware getting a little bit closer to the 45, a pickup of 4. How about the Texans defensive starters? J.J. Watt finally getting healthy again after all the injuries he had to deal with, and Max Bullis stepping in for Brian Cushing, who goes down with that MCL sprain, out for about 3 to 6 weeks. And Jonathan Joseph, former All-Pro in 2011, still performing at such a high level. There's Romeo Crennel, their defensive coordinator, third year for Crennel in Houston. 3rd and 6. High snap through the hands of Smith. It's still loose, and Watt has recovered for the Texans. And disaster for Kansas City.
Bad snap by Mitch Morris, the center for the Kansas City Chiefs, and J.J. Watt, he's going to be lined up to the left side of the screen here. And watch as the snap sails high over the head of Alex Smith. He has one opportunity to get it off the first hop. And then J.J. Watt just swats him aside, said that ball belongs to me. J.J. Watt scoops it up, makes the play for his football team.
I don't think Alex Smith had a fair chance in that scrum with J.J. Watt. So a Kansas City offense that has been so good taking care of the football coughs it up here. And already 2 turnovers in this opening quarter. Texans actually picked up 17 yards on the recovery. Osweiler near side. It's Hopkins into the end zone. There is a marker thrown. It's a 27-yard touchdown if it stands.
There are a lot of things happening on that sideline. We have to see if DeAndre Hopkins stayed in bounds. Because if he went out of bounds and came back in, that would be an illegal touch, or it could be pass interference on Peters.
Pass interference, defense number 22. This penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
This was a great play by DeAndre Hopkins. We said it at the top that Peters was going to draw the tough assignment. One-on-one against Hopkins. Look at the stutter step and go. Swims over the top, stays in bounds to make that catch before Parker can come over and knock him out of bounds and still get into the end zone. Incredible play. A lot happening there. But DeAndre Hopkins got it done for his quarterback, Brock Osweiler.
Hopkins, the Texans single-game season record holder a year ago for receiving touchdowns and targets. Incredible Pro Bowl campaign. Also a second-team All-Pro selection as Nick Novak boots through the point after. Alex Smith and Kansas City muffin the snap. And then Osweiler making quick work of that Kansas City defense. Houston in front.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Corona, who invite you to find your beach. And by Fiat.
The hat store here in Houston, it's been around for about 90 years. Gonna get you one of those lids, Solomon, I think. Nice little Christmas gift for you.
I can rock that. I think I'd do okay.
Oh, there's Marcus.
We'd put you in the cowboy boots.
Oh, okay. Maybe next time. If we get another Houston game, you're on.
You got it.
Saw Marcus Peters. Solomon, you have to wonder where his head's at. We mentioned the struggles he had with Keenan Allen in the first half of that Chargers game last week. He's given up the 53-yarder today and a touchdown that time to DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, sometimes you just have to work your way out of it. Teams see things on film that say, hey, let's go after the guy. Now, to Peters' credit, he did come away with an interception as well. And so he's going to have to continue to make big plays. More importantly, he can't give up big plays to the opposing offense.
This is Niall Davis at that opening kickoff that he returned for a touchdown to start that one-sided AFC wildcard game here against the Texans in January. Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Houston Texans take on the New England Patriots. Thursday Night Football, CBS and NFL Network. So a quick week and a tough week for these Texans. They will immediately begin preparations for the Patriots. And the born and bred New Englander Bill O'Brien and former offensive assistant under Bill Belichick will return to Foxborough next week.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's looking forward to that one. But first, He's got to exercise some demons against these Kansas City Chiefs who came into Houston and beat his team twice 1 season ago.
Drive begins just inside the 30. This is Spencer Ware, tackled by the AFC's Defensive Player of the Week, Whitney Mercilus, who had a marvelous opening game of the season last week with a couple of sacks. What a tear he's been on for this Houston defense.
Yeah, he's been coming on. Of course, he and J.J. Watt 1 season ago. They both combined for over 29 sacks between the both of them. And Mercilus has been coming on season after season. He's got Pro Bowl talent as he continues to make plays for this defense.
And Mercilus leads the NFL in sacks over the last 12 regular season weeks. Got 14 of them. And what has been an incredible run on 2nd and 8. Once again, that Houston defense able to hold. And it was anyone's guess how the Texans would fare after their leader, heart and soul, Brian Cushing, went down to another knee injury last week, out for probably 3 to 6 weeks.
The strategy for the Houston Texans is to make the Kansas City Chiefs offense one-dimensional. What does that mean? Don't allow them to run the football effectively on early downs, on 1st and 2nd down. Create 3rd and long situations like what you see here, then get to the quarterback with an excellent pass rush.
This one could be against the Texans, could be a free play for Smith, and that pass is intercepted. Kevin Johnson with the pick, but this one could be coming back. And look at this now, an excessive celebration penalty. Boy, that's going to drive Bill O'Brien nuts.
Yes, it will. Because regardless of what happens with the penalty, that one will hold up.
We know Bill O'Brien is a no-nonsense guy. He will not stand for that kind of silliness.
Alex Smith knew that he had drew Whitney Mercilus offside, so he took a shot down the field. Yes, it was intercepted. It appeared to be that 59, Mercilus, had encroached on that neutral zone prior to the snap of the ball.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against Houston. Offside, defense, number 55, 5-yard penalty, and will remain 3rd down. The other, sportsmanlike conduct, defense number 24. This penalty has been refused. Repeat, 3rd down.
It was Mercilus who came across prematurely. And to make matters worse, on a play that will not count, excessive celebration on that Texan secondary. You know, something tells me Bill O'Brien will have a word or two with those guys when they come off the field.
Yeah, that was one where the Houston Texans, they're gaining the early momentum in this game for Bill O'Brien, and then to jump off sides and then have the excessive celebration. It's just lack of discipline in both cases, and you're giving the Kansas City Chiefs a new set of downs.
There's another marker that has just been thrown. This one in front of the Chiefs sideline.
It will be 3rd down.
Okay, it's 3rd down. So I stand corrected. 3rd and 2.
All right, so the officials will spot the football just outside the Kansas City 36. And now Andy Reid will try to come up with something on 3rd and 2 as they try to extend their drive. What's he thinking here?
Well, they haven't been able to run the ball very effectively. The bubble screens, depending on how many defenders you get to that side of the field. Here you see Conley at the bottom of the screen to be able to flip it out on a hitch route. That could work, or even a tight end screen to Kelce.
Smith. Incomplete. Travis Kelce, the intended target, and Houston's defense able to get off the field.
Well, they would have to put the ball in the air, trying to get it to their playmaker. They believe that Kelce has the matchup advantage. The ball, thought, was thrown very well. Good timing. A.J. Aboye, just a really good play defensively. Comes over the shoulder without interfering with Kelce, proving to be a really good matchup.
So Boye, the 4th-year man out of Central Florida, last week became the first Texans cornerback to record a sack, amazingly, since 2006. This is Urban, and this time the rookie will signal fair catch. 49 yards on a punt by Dustin Colquitt. Get the CBS Sports app for inside access to your favorite team. From the front office to the front row, you'll get instant coverage of every moment from every angle. Download the CBS Sports app today. Some future generation Texans fans. As NRG Stadium, a packed house today. 7-0 Texans on a 27-yard touchdown pass between Osweiler and DeAndre Hopkins. Osweiler and company back onto the field. 1st and 10. Lamar Miller. Plenty of open real estate. First down run and more. There is a marker thrown as Miller scampers for 11. Steven Nelson pushes him out of bounds.
Holding, offense, number 87. This penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal and repeat first down.
That's Fedorowicz, the tight end.
We asked the Houston Texans, what do you remember from your 2 previous games against the Kansas City Chiefs when they came in here and really took it to Bill O'Brien's team in the playoffs as well as the opening game of last season? What did they say? We got to get off to a good start. We cannot allow the Chiefs to come in here and get a good lead on us and start playing from behind. They're already off to a really good start as they're leading on the scoreboard as well.
It's a tough spot for them here after the penalty. 1st and 17 from just outside of 5. Osweiler goes far side. It's bobbled and caught by DeAndre Hopkins. Hasn't taken very long for Houston to take and hit on some throws down the field.
Well, they brought him in to be a difference maker with that big-time arm, and boy, they're going to use it. First quarter, going down the field, 53 yards to Will Fuller. He's able to hit pay dirt, and then a 27-yard touchdown toss down the field to DeAndre Hopkins. That's coming back after throwing that interception to Peters.
Once this offense really kicks into gear, scary to think just how much better Hopkins can be as they have some options now around it. Osweiler again going down the field, this time intended for Fuller. Tight coverage on the play by Philip Gaines, coming back from the ACL tear that he sustained last September, and he was with him step for step.
Yes, he was. This one going right into the back of Gaines. That tells you that ball was on target. He put it in the vicinity for Fuller to make a play. They're going to test both of these Kansas City Chiefs corners. They've already tested Peters, and now they're going to the other side where Gaines is going to have to be able to hold up. A lot of pressure on these corners and Bob Sutton's defense. A lot of press, man-to-man coverage, playing with your back to the quarterback.
Ryan Griffin, the tight end in motion. This is 3rd and 11, just trying to pick up some positive yardage for Shane Lechler, their punter. And so Kansas City's defense is Derek Johnson, all-time leading tackler and native of Waco, Texas, about 3 hours from where we are here, playing in front of a lot of family and friends. What a career he's had.
Yeah, and after allowing 2 big drives by the Texans offense, Chiefs defense finally pitched a 3 and out, able to get the ball back very quickly. They had allowed the Texans to move the ball very well on those last 2 drives.
Now, we mentioned Justin Houston. What a punt here by Lechler as Tyreek Hill, the rookie, will field it. Trying to turn the corner. This kid is a speed demon, showing a little twitch as he returns his 16 yards, covered about 67 yards on the punt by Lechler. 7-0 Texans in front.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
The NFL recognizes Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the history, culture, and tradition of Latinos. You can visit NFL.com/Hispanic Heritage to view unique stories, features, and content. And a reminder, today's SAP announcer is Halim Zadat. Great crowd here as Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs bring their offense back onto the field. 7-0 Texans as we welcome you back. Spiro Dita, Solomon Wilcots. Our producer Jonathan Siegel, Andy Goldberg, our director here at NRG Stadium. Chiefs keep it on the ground. And Tyreek Hill, the rookie wide receiver, a loss of 1. Well, how about Alex Smith and the career trajectory, Solomon, he's been in, and what he's done in the last couple of years to really change the perception of the caliber quarterback he is?
Oh, look at those numbers, the touchdown to interception ratio. on the road. 34 touchdowns against 5 interceptions. That's something he does very well. He protects the football, doesn't put it in harm's way, and that's why you see him winning at this elite level now in the NFL.
Just a remarkable road record as a starting quarterback since coming over to the Chiefs in 2013. Smith's pass is incomplete. Or Jeremy Maclin, who, we know he had the history with drops early in his career. He has been statistically, according to Pro Football Focus, the most sure-handed receiver in the league each of the last 2 years.
The last 2 years, absolutely. And that was an easy one. That's what we call a drive starter. It was a well-executed play to get Maclin open on the perimeter of the offense, and a well-thrown ball by Alex Smith, and Maclin couldn't haul it in. Now they're facing 3rd and long. This favors the pass rush of the Houston Texans.
Smith on 3rd and 11. Taking a shot far side again, looking for Maclin. And once again, unable to connect. Jonathan Joseph on the coverage, and Alex Smith incompletions on each of his last 4 throws.
Yeah, and Andy Reid's looking at Alex like, hey, maybe we could have held on to that one a little bit longer until something declared itself open. That time, Houston appeared like they were going to blitz, but they only rushed 3 down linemen. That meant it was 8 guys defending. There was really nowhere to throw the football, but there was no imminent pass rush on Alex Smith.
Now keep in mind, this is the Chiefs offense that really struggled through the first 3+ quarters last week. They only had 10 points and 176 total yards before they turned it around in that 4th quarter. The rookie Irvin runs out of bounds, a return of 6 after a 48-yard punt by Colquitt. Oh, in just 2 days' time, NCIS's Michael Weatherly returns to CBS in the new legal drama Bowl. It premieres Tuesday after NCIS, only CBS. And we are getting into the spirit of things here. There's the Bowl outside NRG Stadium. 7-0, Texans. As we welcome you back inside, Brock Osweiler and this Texans offense. Osweiler, 4 years as Peyton Manning's understudy in Denver. Second straight week that he threw a pick on their opening possession. Did come back, hitting DeAndre Hopkins for the 27-yard touchdown, and that has been our lone score of this opening quarter. Lamar Miller wrapped up and going nowhere. Well, there's been a pretty good history of guys developing between Hall of Famers and becoming pretty good quarterbacks themselves.
Yeah, you learn from the greatest, as Steve Young learned from Montana. Aaron Rodgers learned from Brett Favre up in Green Bay. And then how about Tom Brady? He learned from Drew Bledsoe and became a great quarterback. And Brock Osweiler was able to study under Peyton Manning. He said the #1 thing he learned from Peyton, consistency.
Osweiler on 2nd and 10 from under center. Quick strike and a hard hit as Braxton Miller is lit up by Marcus Peters, a pickup of only a couple.
Well, they're going to challenge Peters, and we said that he's going to have to continue to make plays. And this tells you he's a physical player. Look at the hit laid on Braxton Miller. Yeah, we have to retie your shoes after that.
Miller, of course, converting from quarterback to wide receiver his final season in Ohio State. The young man that Rick Smith took in the 3rd round. Had 1 catch in his debut last week. On 3rd and 7, Osweiler wrapped up and sacked. It's Derek Johnson. And Osweiler barely able to take the snap. He came so quickly.
Yeah, Bob Sutton dialing up some pressure to see how they deal with it. He's going to come over from the right side of your screen, looped around. He started inside and was able to get into the face of the quarterback. Look, they were leaning. They just didn't have enough protection to that side. You have to be able to slide the line toward the overload side, and they didn't get it done.
Johnson selected to his 4th Pro Bowl last season. Successful return from that devastating Achilles tear that he sustained early in 2014. This is Tyreek Hill. He is a home run hitter in the return game inside Houston territory. 32 yards on the return. Alfred Blue finally able to force him out of bounds.
Wow.
Week 2 continues later today on CBS, and for some of you on Fox. Tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC, and tomorrow, Monday Night Football on ESPN, the Eagles and the Bears. Boy, the Chiefs have had some pretty good success in the return game here last couple of trips to Houston, haven't they?
Oh, yes. Special teams matter, and this is a well-coached team in all 3 phases of the game.
First time we've seen Charcandrick West. Long setback on 1st and 10. Smith fakes the handoff. Near side of the field, and nearly a marvelous catch by Macklin. It was Joseph on the coverage, and Smith and Macklin having some issues in this first quarter.
Yeah, this ball's thrown high, and Macklin shouldn't have to go to the next level to try to haul it in. He was open. He had separation on the defender, and Alex Smith knew that he really put that too high for Macklin to come down with it.
Macklin missing practice on Thursday for what the team termed personal reasons. Nothing with his health. And 5 catches and a touchdown that really ignited their comfort behind win against the Chargers last week. Smith on 2nd and 10. Underneath, this is West. Stumbles out of bounds out around the 32-yard line. Kareem Jackson on the tackle, as West is back in Texas, former star at Abilene Christian, about 300 miles or so from where we are here. And suddenly an embarrassment of riches at the running back position for Andy Reid. Keep in mind, Jamal Charles about a week or 2 away from making his return.
And now facing 3rd down, Andy Reid trying to figure out what to draw up here. The protection has been good for Alex Smith. They just have to hit it and be more accurate with the football.
3rd and 8. Smith, what? Sack.
And as soon as I say the protection's been good, J.J. Watt, he ruins the party. Working on that left side against right tackle Mitchell Schwartz. You're going to see him come out here. And look, they chip at him with West, and then they're trying to give Mitchell Schwartz some help against J.J. Watt, but still not enough to keep Watt from coming away with the sack.
First sack of the season for J.J. Watt. That brings us to the end of the first. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Cairo Santos on to attempt a 54-yard field goal, which would be a career best for him. His previous high, as you can see, 53. Santos, the 3rd-year kicker out of Tulane. As that's set by J.J. Watt, making this a longer kick than they had hoped. This one is on target, has plenty of leg, and Santos is good from 54. So a career best kick for the 3rd-year man, Cairo Santos. And the Chiefs get on the board first. There's J.J. Watt. Had a chance to visit with him on Friday. We asked him about the back surgery, and the process says that during a routine physical right before training camp, they determined that he needed surgery, and he said, boy, you got to get in here the very next day. He did, so that he was on the operating table 12 hours later.
Yeah, and he's playing at less than 100%, Spiro, but still making plays. Come up with a fumble recovery, still gets the sack. He's making things happen for his football team, even though he's not 100%. But look at these numbers. Some of the best we've ever seen at the start of a career in the first 5 seasons. Look where he's at, only behind Reggie White, nearly 75 sacks during his first 5 seasons. Something tells me he's going to be chasing a lot of those numbers put up there by Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor. He is fun to watch. Even when he's not at the top of his game, it's still plenty to help his team win.
A lot of Texans fans are wondering, boy, why did he wait, Solomon, until late July? And it was just, again, during that routine checkup that doctors perform the MRI like they do with every player right before the start of training camp. And the doctor said, this is urgent. You've got to get into the operating room immediately. And had to miss all the training camp, all of the preseason. And slowly but surely trying to work his way back to full strength.
Yeah, he didn't know. He had herniated disc in his back that needed surgically repaired, and went through that process. That happened, as you said, 8 weeks ago.
Long kick, fielded again by the rookie Irvin. Irvin only able to get to around the 15-yard line. A return of 19 yards. Eric Murray on the tackle. Saturday, the SEC on CBS brings you the best game from the best conference, while the Florida Gators pay a visit to Rocky Top to take on the Tennessee Vols. It all begins with college football today. And there is Eric Berry, one of the great Tennessee Vols in their program's history. What a career he's had. NFL's Comeback Player of the Year. Returned to all-pro caliber play. It was a first-team selection last season. Osweiler back onto the field. Play action on 1st and 10. That pass is broken up by Ron Parker, their do-everything jack of all trades in the back of that defense.
That was just an incredible play. That's what Eric Berry said. That's what makes his secondary special. You see Parker making that play in coverage. He can play corner, he can play safety, he can play the dime position. Eric Berry talked about the many various positions that so many of them can play. Adds great versatility to Bob Sutton's defense.
Now, Parker made last week one of the most important kind of unsung plays. It was the third quarter. Chargers were up 21-3 driving. Tyrell Williams, what could have been a touchdown to put the game out of reach, and Parker was the guy who broke it up. 4 yards on the take by Lamar Miller, workhorse running back for the first time in his career after 4 solid seasons in Miami. 28 carries last week, career best for Miller.
Remember that game 1 year ago when he was in Miami playing against these Houston Texans? Boy, he lit them up. He had a big-time game. That was his audition in free agency, and the Houston Texans snatched him up right away. They said, we've seen enough. We want you on our side.
Osweiler on 3rd and 6. Here come the Chiefs on the blitz. Texans able to pick it up, but Miller unable to make the catch. Miller got hit hard earlier. That pass falls incomplete.
Osweiler was under pressure. He didn't see this. He didn't see DeAndre Hopkins come wide open working against Peters to the other side, and the pressure was on Osweiler. He came to the left, but DeAndre Hopkins was wide open, would have had a big play there.
You rarely see that kind of outburst from Hopkins, as the Texans suffer their 3rd consecutive 3-and-out. 54 yards on the punt by Legler, as Alex Smith will bring his offense back onto the field, down 4 when we come back. Oh, when you're an NFL player like J.J. Watt, who's suffered through injuries the last couple of years, you look for any advantage. And one thing we talked about with Watt was the fact that he had purchased a flotation tank, installed it in his house back in April. It's basically a tank of water that you lie in. It's got 800 pounds of salt, gives off the sensation that you're floating. There's no sound, no light. Your body feels like it's completely suspended in air. And he says it's changed his life. Takes his naps in there about 3 times a week for about 90 minutes a stretch.
He said when your mind is running 100 miles an hour, like mine is, he says it's like you can't shut it off. He said it's nice to be able to go somewhere, have somewhere where you could just shut it all down. And he is highly wired, and that's why he plays with such great effort and energy.
Now, if you are still thinking of Christmas gifts for me, Solomon, I'll take one of those bad boys.
Those things come with a coupon?
Well, once again, Alex Smith looking for Macklin, and that falls incomplete. Smith right now 4 of 10 for only 23 yards. You rarely see him struggle, certainly during this long winning streak that the Chiefs have been on going back to last year.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you get off your game. He threw a nice ball to Macklin. It was dropped. Then you start to press a little bit, and he overthrows one, and now behind an intended receiver. They have to find a way to get back into rhythm.
Smith has missed on 6 of his last 7 attempts. On 2nd and 10, Spencer Ware making a first guy miss. He's still going inside Texans territory and run out of bounds. He had some big runs last week. This time 25 yards forced out of bounds by Andre Howell, the safety.
Well, take a look at this. He'll break it back to the left side. Good block by Kelsey. He made Kareem Jackson miss there at the line of scrimmage. He's beyond Demps. And if Howell doesn't haul him in, he's going to run a long way for a touchdown. They get tremendous production out of both of their backs. Sarkandrick West, Spencer Ware, even without, as you mentioned, Spiro Jamal Charles, still tremendous production in the running game.
Ware gets a much-needed blow here, so West onto the field on 1st and 10. Smith Pump faked initially, finds the rookie Hill. Taking on tacklers inside the 40. You go back to the start of last season, Spencer Ware, among qualifying running backs, leads the league in yards per carry at 5.7. He is turning into quite the back for Andy Reid.
Last week, he had a per carry average of 6.3 yards a carry against the Chargers defense. So, yeah, highly productive. Doesn't need a lot of touches, but still gives you huge results.
People thought this offense was going to really go south when they were 1-5 last year and lost Jamal Charles. But it has been the exact opposite. This is West. Nice little compliment. Shifty runner, crosses the 35 and gets out to about the 33. Penalty marker comes in at the end of the play. Demps and Joseph were there on the coverage.
Holding, offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty and repeat, second down.
Zach Fulton making the start for the rookie fourth-round pick. Parker Enger, who's out with a concussion, is called for the flag.
But it is either a drop or that penalty that kind of derails Alex Smith and their ability to move the ball. But you could see 5 consecutive incompletions. That's not the normally efficient Alex Smith we become accustomed to. Starting to get it going where he's at least completed 2 of the last 3. But you can see he had hit a real drought there. Alex Smith, it's about timing and rhythm within the offense. Getting the ball out of his hands very quickly with great accuracy. How about that movement?
And some pre-snap movement. Flags coming in from multiple directions. Our referee today is Tony Correnti.
Full start, offense, number 72. A 5-yard penalty. It will remain second down.
That's Eric Fisher, the former first overall pick.
Yeah, he moved. He flinched. Got to be able to hold in there. It's getting loud in here, so he's trusting on that silent count for the ball to be snapped at a certain period of time. They're going to have to work it. The crowd is beginning to play a factor in this game. They're excited about their Texans.
Second and 19. Smith, plenty of time to throw. Up the field, it's caught. That's the tight end, Demetrius Harris. Ball comes loose. And the Texans recover inside the 10. It's Kareem Jackson.
Now, the question is this an incompletion or is it a fumble? Now, the rule states that he has to be able to make a protective move. There you see the stick, you see the 2 feet. Now, was he able to protect himself before the ball comes out?
At first glance, it clearly saw him, and at least from my take, appeared that though he had it, and that is a fumble. But they will go upstairs and take a look.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by Genesis. Take a breath of fresh luxury.
All right, here in Houston, that last turnover is still under review. Demetrius Harris making a catch. Call in the field is a fumble as they continue to take a look.
Yeah, there you see the catch. Now, he makes 2 steps, and you have to survive a fall to the ground. However, Andre Hal had come in and punched that ball out before Harris had fallen to the ground. See, watch that back punch right there. Now, ball's out before he ever hit the ground. He had the catch.
The ruling of the receiver going to the ground and lost the ball upon contact creates an incomplete pass. Therefore, it will be Kansas City's ball, 3rd down and 19 on the 47-yard line. With the game clock operator, please reset the game clock to 11:47. 11:47. Thank you.
So here is the rule. After he makes the catch, he gets the 2 requisite steps. Now you have to ask yourself, is he able to protect himself, because the receivers are afforded protection after the catch and the 2 steps. So had a defender came and hit him, say in the head, neck, or shoulder area, would have been a hit on a defenseless player. He has to be able to protect himself. That really does complete the catch process, and that's what they're saying, that he didn't hold it long enough to be afforded the protection.
You see the rule. Once the receiver is going to the ground, at that point he has to maintain control through contact with the ground, and that obviously did not happen there. But it seems like every week we see one of these that really puts that rule to the test, as we have seen every wrinkle of that variation of the rule. Another sack for J.J. Watt, his second of this first half.
Oh, he is on a tear. He had heard some words from Eric Fisher. And last year in that playoff game, Fisher kind of got the best of him. J.J. Watt was not 100% healthy. Here he's working against Mitchell Schwartz. And he's turning it up, as well as Jadeveon Clowney. There are some active members on this defense, and you can see J.J. Watt lighting up that stat sheet.
And that punt by Colquitt nearly blocked. Harvin signaling fair catch. Osweiler and company will start right around their own 17-yard line. 39 yards on the punt by Colquitt. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, Brock Osweiler had that 27-yard touchdown pass back in the first quarter to DeAndre Hopkins. Since that point, they have run 9 plays for a grand total of 2 yards.
They have to be more efficient with the passing game, and they have to produce more running the football with Lamar Miller.
Alfred Blue, long setback in motion, takes the handoff from Osweiler. And he is going nowhere. So Brock Osweiler grew up in western Montana, born in Idaho, right in the section of that state in Montana, just in the shadows of Glacier National Park, one of the most scenic areas in the country. Actually committed to play basketball for Mark Few at Gonzaga as a freshman. A couple of years later, just as his football career was heating up, we thought that decision, and wound up at Arizona State. 4 years as Peyton's understudy in Denver, and finally a chance to run his ship here in Houston, finding Hopkins for a first down play of 14 yards. And Osweiler, pretty good hoops player growing up in Montana.
Yeah, if you're recruited by Mark Few, you know you can put it in the hole. Big guy with excellent athleticism, can rise above the rim, put it down, and pop the shot from three-point land. That tells you what a really good athlete he is.
Flathead Braves. It seemed that he led as a high school star.
Are you kidding?
4 yards on the run by Blue. And you know, you talked about this, Salman, during the week. You haven't seen many quarterbacks of his height, 6'7", 6'8", have success. But one of the things Bill O'Brien talked about was his background as a basketball player. They knew that he'd be able to move. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's not clumsy. He's got excellent footwork. He moves in the pocket really well, and he has that big-time arm.
Here it goes on 2nd and 6 underneath. That's the rookie tight end out of Cal, Steven Anderson. 8 more yards and another Houston first down.
I asked him, I said, you had to learn a new offense last year in Denver when Kubiak came to town, and now you changed teams. What was that like? He says, you know, coming to a new team here is like, you know, when you enter that new locker room, it's like being the new kid in school. In Denver, he knew everyone's name in the building. Said, I even knew the janitors, and said we had to start from scratch here in Houston.
Pretty good start for him so far. Up 7-3 here as now the Texans move inside of Kansas City territory. And this kid Anderson is off to a pretty good start. Actually led Houston's tight ends last week with 3 catches. Former walk-on at Cal. Eventually earned a scholarship. Undrafted, has really had to work hard to get to this point.
Well, they want to use the tight ends in this offense. Fedorowicz, Ryan Griffin, Anderson getting a shot as well.
And 2nd and 3. Needed Chiefs 45, won't get there. They pick up only a couple with Alfred Blue. Dontari Poe on the stop for Kansas City.
Both defenses are very similar. We talked about how the Texans wanted to render the Chiefs to be one-dimensional on offense. Well, Bob Sutton the Chiefs defensive coordinator seen here, he wants to do the same thing. Strip Brock Osweiler of the run game. Force him to have to complete passes on 3rd and long. This is a situation Chiefs defense do not want to be in 3rd and short.
Texans were 8 of 8 on 3rd and less than 4 last week in the win over Chicago. And they don't pick it up there. Lamar Miller is stopped. Dee Ford with a nice defensive play for the Chiefs.
Great tackle in open space by Dee Ford. Take a look here. The big guys normally don't win this one against those shifty running backs, but Dee Ford, good footwork.
Salmon, Bill O'Brien electing to go for it on 4th down. You like this move?
I do like the move because great field position, and his defense with J.J. Watt is playing well.
Osweiler from the gun. Over the middle, it's caught. Lamar Miller, 1st down, Houston.
I also like the way they set up the play. They got the matchup they wanted. They saw Frank Zombo, 51, a linebacker on Miller over to the right side of your screen. You'll see Miller coming out of the backfield, matched up against the linebacker. There he goes, comes back into the middle of the field and is able to make a play and convert the 3rd down into a 1st down.
Osweiler on 1st and 10. Here come the Chiefs on the blitz. Osweiler gets rid of it quickly. It's the tight end, Ryan Griffin, 5 yards to set up a favorable 2nd and 5 coming up. Oh, with NFL Game Pass, replay every game this season, including playoffs and Super Bowl. Start a free trial today at NFL.com/Game Pass. The other thing Osweiler told us was that he's got a lot of notes on Kansas City. He was involved in 8 game plans against them as Manning's backup in Denver, and that's something he said that really came in handy during this week.
Well, he made some adjustments here because after going 3 and out on a couple of drives, they're on the move.
Here he is on 2nd and 5. Off the far side of the field, he's got Fuller, who makes an incredible catch, but he just runs out of real estate. And once again, the Texans, Salmon going right at Marcus Peters as we get a penalty marker.
Peters made the play, but it looks like it may have been some kind of taunting after making the play. The officials are kind of helping to understand the situation.
At the conclusion of the play, taunting number 22 on the defense is the 15-yard penalty. Also, this taunting foul is the first of a possible ejection if a second one was to occur.
It's a conduct foul, and there you see. Now, see the finger wag? Right there. It's a conduct foul. Now, he wasn't directly in the face of Fuller. There was some distance between the two. But you're just going to have to keep your emotions. You have to play smart. You had already won on the play. No need to tell him about it.
It's a point of emphasis this season, and it all goes back to that altercation last year between Odell Beckham Jr. and Josh Norman in that Giants-Carolina game. As Houston going deep into the playbook here. This is Braxton Miller on an end around, but that Chiefs defense was not fooled.
Just really good defense in terms of the discipline. Watch the defenders here. Watch they all stay home as Miller tried to come around the formation. So they outflank Braxton Miller. Look at the defenders out there. Look at that. Dontari Poe, he's a nose tackle. He was able to contain that play.
Well, you wonder if Miller could have thrown the football down the field. Of course, the former quarterback at Ohio State, the former 2-time conference player of the year at that position. Quick strike, Osweiler to Miller on what was the 12th play of the drive that began back at their own 17. Daniel Sorensen on the tackle, and it'll set up a 3rd and 7 coming up.
Critical 3rd down play. Down inside the red zone. This is where you think about the options. You think about the matchups. You already have Marcus Peters, you know, he's battling a little bit. If you can get him matched up against DeAndre Hopkins, you go ahead and take a shot.
13 13th play of the drive. This is 3rd and 7. Osweiler under heavy pressure. Going end zone. Hopkins, was he in? Incomplete. Dee Ford was coming with a heavy pressure. And incredible that Osweiler was able to nearly put it on target.
Take a look here. Looked like Hopkins was able to run this ball down. Did he get 2 feet? Look, knees down. Now he has to do what we said before. Survive the fall to the ground. The ball can't move. He does have the knees down. He's got possession. But see, he's in the chalk. He's in the chalk just as he makes that catch. That's going to be a tough one because Bill O'Brien wants to take a look at it.
O'Brien has just thrown out the challenge flag, so they will take a look, and this one is awfully close. You saw the inadvertent contact between Hopkins and Gaines on the play. And really just incredible concentration, not only by Osweiler, by Hopkins as well. Houston has won 5 of their 9 challenges over the last season plus as they take another look.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce. And by Bud Light, beer with your team on it.
On the last play on a potential touchdown ruled an incomplete pass. Here's the official call by Tony Corrente.
After review, the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass stands. It is an incomplete pass. 4th down.
Now, Spiro, I'll tell you why it stands. Because it does appear to be very close. But do you have clear visual evidence to overturn the call on the field that it wasn't a catch? Are you really certain that he had it before he hits the chalk? Did he complete the catch process before hitting that white out of bounds marker? And I think had they had clear visual evidence, it maybe would have been enough to overturn.
Dean Blandino, the NFL's head of officials, telling me via text that was too close to change. By the time he gained control, the knee looked like it was out of bounds. So there you have it. Field goal is good from 32 yards out from Nick Novak. Now, the catch rule has been under heavy scrutiny in the NFL. We know that the last couple of years. And already we've had 2 very close plays here. This was the Demetrius Harris catch and fumble that was overturned because he was going to the ground. He has to maintain through contact with the ground. He did not. And then this Hopkins play, very close.
Yeah, very close, but not enough. Remember, it was ruled an incompleted pass on the field. Now, I think had it been ruled a completion, I don't think they would have had enough evidence to overturn it either way. And so, you know, I could see Hopkins arguing, hey, I caught it because I believe he did catch it just before he hit the chalk. However, it was ruled an incompleted pass, and there was no evidence, no visual evidence that made it clear that you could overturn it.
So here is Knile Davis from his own end zone, crosses the 20 and out to the 23, maybe the 24-yard line. A reminder coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. JB and the fellas standing by in New York. Get you all the latest scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. It's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. There's so much talk about, Salman, about Alex Smith and this run that the Chiefs have been on. We wondered if that momentum would carry over. It certainly has not, at least for their offense.
No, you know, each week in the NFL, it takes on a life of its own. And the Kansas City Chiefs know that. They are a team that will not panic. They are used to overcoming adversity and still finding a way to win games.
A delayed handoff to Ware. This is a Chiefs team, keep in mind, that has not lost a regular season game since week 6 of last season, a game in Minneapolis on October the 18th.
And remember, the week before that, they lost Jamal Charles for the season. They lose another week. They go 1-5. And Andy Reid, just being that real patient coach, he's sort of that calm in the eye of the storm. And I think it feeds to the rest of his players because they reeled off 10 consecutive wins at the end of the regular season 1 year ago.
On 2nd and 8, this is Ware dancing across the 25 out to the 30, a pickup of 5. incredible resurgence. We asked Alex Smith, and he says, look, it all starts with Andy. He's so even-keeled. His demeanor never changes. And we just followed his lead. 11 straight wins, longest winning streak in franchise history, and eventually got their first postseason victory in 22 years.
Right, he's an elite coach, and what he has done coming to Kansas City, turned around the franchise. They are perennial winner. And what he's done for the career of Alex Smith, I don't know that we can say enough about that.
Texans will burn a timeout here at the 2:57 mark of this second quarter. And we know Andy Reid is a survivor. Anyone who could survive 14 years in Philadelphia certainly deserves that distinction. But what a streak this has been on that began again all the way back to week 7 of last season.
The best ever in franchise history. Led by a quarterback that had been given up on in San Francisco. And Andy Reid knew he wanted Alex Smith as his quarterback. And I think it's a marriage made in heaven. They're both very bright guys. The teammates and the players relate to both very well. Alex Smith, I think, proved it last week in that comfort behind win against San Diego. He's the undisputed leader of this team. You can see where they rank in terms of regular season win streak.
Chiefs 0 of 5 on third down today. This is 3rd and 3. From the 30, Smith from the gun over the middle. It's caught. That's Kelce leapfrogging a defender. First down, catch and run. A pickup of 8. And Travis Kelce has been a matchup nightmare for this Houston defense.
Well, Kelce, if you can cover him, if you look at the blitz pickup right there by Spencer Ware, that allows time for Alex Smith to get it over to Travis Kelce. He's working against Kevin Johnson. He's working against a cornerback in space right there, coming up with the tackle. Good blitz pickup, good poise, and good accuracy by Alex Smith.
Kelce, a first-time Pro Bowler last season. Quick sling from Smith, finally able to connect with Macklin. Just inside Texans territory, brought down by Jonathan Joseph. They pick up 13 and another first down.
And sometimes when we talk about, the pace of the game, look how they just come off the ball real quick. Ball's out quick, ball's in the hands of the receiver very quick. You can go faster without going hurry up. Nobody does that better than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Once again, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by in New York. Get you caught up on what's happening in Week 2 around the league. Plus a preview Thursday Night Football, CBS and NFL Network. All next on the Verizon Halftime Report. Spiro Ditas, Solomon Wilcots. Highly anticipated early season matchup in the AFC. Houston and the Chiefs, both 1-0. This is Spencer Ware. Football comes loose, and another Kansas City turnover. Kareem making Kevin Johnson on the recovery, and he's still going. Johnson with daylight. Inside the 20, and finally brought down at the Kansas City 15 by Spencer Ware.
Spencer Ware trying to do a little too much. Made a really nice move in the backfield to get to the second level, but you can see right there, stripped of the ball by Quentin Demps, scooped up by Kevin Johnson, and he's looking to do something with it. There you see the left hand of Demps, number 27. Whitney Merciless also in on the play. But look, watch that left hand. That's what poked the ball out. Quentin Demps able to get it out. Johnson not only able to scoop it up, he's looking to score with it. Making a huge return, putting his offense in scoring position. Returned it 52 yards.
So Kevin Johnson, who is healthy again, wrist and foot surgeries in the offseason. What a play for him and this Houston defense. So 3 Kansas City turnovers as Lamar Miller picks up a minimal gain on first down, and that really changes the finish of what this first half looks like. And you see, looks like Eric Bieniemy, Solomon, red hot on that Chiefs sideline.
Oh, he's the running back coach, and he coaches with a lot of fire, a lot of passion, and great energy. And it does spread to the running backs in this team. That's why they all run so hard and so tough. But he teaches them that ball security is goal number 1. Even before you look to get that extra yard or try to hit the home run in the run game. You've got to protect the football if you're going to run the ball for Eric Bieniemy.
That was my mistake. Also, the second Kansas City turnover after the Demetrius Harris play, of course, was overturned. There's Bieniemy. We saw Jamal Charles on the Chiefs sideline back in his home state, about 90 minutes from where he grew up in Port Arthur, Texas. Trying to console Spencer Ware on that bench. 2nd and 8. This is Miller inside the 10. Miller down to the 6. They need the 4 for the first down. Texans with 1 timeout here trying to manage that clock as they pick up 5. Tackle on the play by Ron Parker.
Don't you love just Ron Parker? And D4 is doing a great job of getting off the ball, getting across the line of scrimmage. You have to commit another defender to him. It allows Parker to come up from that secondary where he's so physical. And I think he plays with great instincts. Both safeties, Eric Berry and Parker as well, very physical, getting involved in the run game in Sutton's defense.
It was Kansas City who burned the timeout here, so both teams down to their final timeout. 3rd and 2. Texans leading the Chiefs 4 to move the chains. Osweiler, pressure coming, incomplete. Off the hands of Jalen Strong, the former 3rd-round pick out of Arizona State. Now 4th and 2.
Osweiler's tough. Look at Dontari Poe coming right at the gut. He knows he's going to get hit. Steps into this throw and still takes one.
Well, you saw his left leg kind of buckle underneath him. But you're right. We've seen Osweiler make some incredible throws right in the face of pressure. The pass to Hopkins that was overturned in the end zone. As Nick Novak will come on to kick. Officially a 24-yard attempt. So the Texans drive stalls after the Kansas City turnover. Osweiler visibly displeased, but Houston able to build on their lead to 10 nonetheless. Now the king of comedy is back on CBS. Kevin James returns, and Kevin Can Wait. It premieres tomorrow after The Big Bang Theory, only CBS. Solomon, we haven't seen quite the offensive crispness that we may have anticipated, but what do you take away so far from this first half?
Well, guys are really trying hard and putting the ball on the ground. I expect both quarterbacks to settle down. Certainly Alex Smith. We've seen him have 5 consecutive incompletions. We've seen him now start to right the ship and start to move the ball. Brock Osweiler, he's still a very young quarterback. Remember, only started 7 games 1 season ago, even before coming here to Houston. And now in just his 2nd game here, he tends to get better as the game goes on. Be interesting to see what kind of halftime adjustments we get, but both quarterbacks have to settle down. Even if they can't get the run game going, they may get into a situation where they may have to drop back and throw it every single time.
And keep in mind the Chiefs last week scored only 3 points in that first half against San Diego before the Tides turned latter stages of that 3rd quarter. Very similar issues that they're having with an offense that just looks awfully ragged today. This is Niall Davis from his own end zone. And he is brought down shy of the 20. A return of 21. How about this Texans defense till this point?
Yeah, well, they're not allowing much with this Kansas City Chiefs offense. Causing turnovers. 2 fumbles here in the first half. They're getting to Alex Smith. J.J. Watt is able to get a couple of sacks as well. They're making big plays to try to set up this offense to put points on the board. Everyone knew that this game was going to come down to the 4th and final quarter. They're slugging away. It's going to be interesting to see who remains standing when it's all said and done, because we have ourselves 2 great defenses and 2 quarterbacks who are capable of playing at a high level.
So the Chiefs with 1 timeout in their back pocket on 1st and 10. This is Charcandrick West. Interesting play call here to run it, and that clock still moving with about 60 seconds left. Surprised?
Yeah, particularly that they're not speeding up the process as well.
Smith from the gun on 2nd and 6. Here they come again. Smith very mobile. Clowney giving chase. And a late penalty marker behind the line of scrimmage. This one will be a hold against the Chiefs.
Holding, offense number 72. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
It's the 3rd penalty against Andy Reid's offensive line. That time it's Eric Fisher.
Well, they've got their hands full. And you're going to see them right out here. And that's where Fisher is working against Whitney Mercilus. Right there, he hooked him at the end. And yeah, Mercilus certainly would have had a sack.
Well, at this point, if you're Andy Reid, maybe you just wave the white flag. Down 10. With 1 timeout to play with here. But it's 2nd and 16. Quick strike from Smith. He goes underneath on the play. This is Albert Wilson for his first catch. 3rd-year receiver out of Georgia State. A pickup of 4. Clock continues to run. It'll be 3rd down.
Nice tackle on the perimeter by the defensive backs for the Houston Texans.
Texans will burn a timeout, their final. Up 10 here with 40 seconds left to play, hoping that perhaps they can get the football back. Kansas City, we remind you, will have the ball to start the 2nd half. And obviously a lot to talk about with that offense in the locker room.
Well, they're going to talk to the offensive line saying, hey, we got to get our hands inside. Remember, they're playing without their 2 starting guards, playing with backups on that offensive line, and they're really struggling today against this Houston Texans defensive line.
Parker Anger, their 4th-round pick, out with a concussion, and Laurent Duvernay-Tardif out with a high ankle sprain. On 3rd and 12, this is Charcandrick West making guys miss. West breaking free out to the 45-yard line, so a 1st down run. Whitney Mercilus finally able to chase him down, and now the Chiefs suddenly in business will take their final timeout. 28 yards on the burst from West.
And that's why they'll use the timeout. Typically what coaches will do, they wait to see if they're going to be able to make a play before they start to try to hurry up or try to burn a timeout to try to save time. And here you're going to see this is just that draw play. They're just hoping to pop one here. And if you can pop it, you know, then you feel like you got something going. Look, you can see they're bringing around Travis Kelce. He threw a nice block, and Charcandrick West did the rest by breaking tackles and getting to the 2nd level. Now, what this does, this excites the coaches saying, okay, we got something going. Let's see if we can conserve time, and let's see if we can set up Colquitt to kick the field goal.
Santos hit earlier from 54 yards out. A career-long kick as he starts to ready himself on the sideline. Smith on 1st and 10. No timeouts left. Fires over the middle. Threw it behind the intended receiver on the play. It was Chris Conley. And Smith just missed him.
Well, it's the pressure. The pressure coming in. Look at that. See, if Alex Smith can't step up on that throw, he had to fall back trying to elude J.J. Watt from hitting that right arm, and he's not able to come over the top and drive the ball accurately. That's why the ball sailed behind the intended receiver. Pressure from J.J. Watt.
If you've just joined us, Watt, first 2 sacks of the season in his 1st half. Certainly starting to resemble the guy that's been selected the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year 3 of the last 4 seasons. Down to 21 seconds. Smith under pressure, sacked again. Football comes loose. What's the call here? Whitney Mercilus falling on the football, and they say it will be Houston football. John Simon recovering. 3rd Kansas City turnover. Make it Simon forcing the football coming loose, and Mercilus with the recovery.
He'll climb the pocket. Watch him step up, and he'll elude over to his left, and there's Simon there, coming from behind to strip it, and then there's Whitney Mercilus to scoop it up. So a very opportunistic defense here in the 1st half by the Texans. They're swarming everywhere, causing fumbles, and they're good enough to get to it and recover. That's just a great play coming in from behind by Simon.
Simon had a sack last week and a strip sack here. Well, keep in mind, Houston had 5 turnovers in that playoff loss here to the Chiefs in January. And the tables have been turned at least through 2 quarters. Third time today that the Texans are starting to drive inside Chiefs territory. Down to 13 seconds. Houston out of timeouts. Will they take a couple of shots here? Osweiler incomplete. 8 seconds remaining.
That leaves time for one big play and a timeout.
There's Nick Novak.
Well, they now have no timeouts left, we've been told.
A little bit of a discrepancy between some of the stats monitors, but no timeouts remaining for Houston. Long for Novak in his career, 53-yarder against Denver back in November of 2011. Osweiler on 2nd and 10 has time, steps into another throw, and this one falls incomplete, and they'll have one final chance. O'Brien will send out Novak. Osweiler seems a bit surprised at that decision.
Well, they got to try something, right? But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you look at the 3 turnovers in the first half, you have to consider yourself very fortunate.
It'll be a 57-yard attempt from Novak, the 9th-year kicker out of Maryland. And you see the Chiefs bringing a return man. That's the rookie Tyreek Hill, standing right underneath the goalpost. This kick off the upright and no good. So Novak unable to connect on what would have been a career-long kick of 57 as he misses on the first of his 3 attempts today. End of the first half. With your score, Houston 13, Kansas City 3. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Ready for the start of the second half. The Houston Texans trying to avenge that dismantling that they sustained here in the AFC wild card to the Chiefs. Up 10. Spiro Ditas, Almond Wilcots back with you. September is Children's Cancer Awareness Month. All of us at CBS are partnering with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital to help raise awareness for this incredible cause. We all have our St. Jude's ties and pins. You look very nice, by the way.
You look nice as well, I must say.
Let's talk about the first half. Houston probably feels like they should be up more than 10 points, considering they got the 3 turnovers by Kansas City.
Yeah, they've been able to get after the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been able to get after Alex Smith as well. And so they're going to have to do a better job of protecting their quarterback if Kansas City's going to come out of here with a win.
All right, let's take a look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV. Brock Osweiler connecting with DeAndre Hopkins for the 27-yard touchdown. That got the Texans on the board as they lead by 10. What about some second half adjustments, Solomon?
Well, I think it speaks to the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs have to provide maximum protection for their quarterback, Alex Smith. Giving up those 3 sacks in the first half can continue here in the second half. And then the Houston Texans have to become more efficient in their running game. They only have 34 yards rushing in the first half of this game. They need greater balance to be able to create big plays and have a more productive offense.
Texans team that since week 8 of last season has won 8 of 10 regular season games. Only the Chiefs and Carolina have been better during that stretch. Texans were winners here against Chicago last week to open the season. And we know about the Chiefs. Franchise best 11-game regular season winning streak. Longest in franchise history. And their biggest comeback win in the 56-year history of the franchise last week. As Tyreek Hill, who is a lightning bolt up the sideline out past the 30, and excellent field position for Alex Smith. As you see the first half numbers, not much to talk about for Alex in that offense.
Yeah, very surprising. They've had opportunities. You know, he went through one streak, 5 consecutive incompletions. He missed open receivers. He had receivers open who dropped the ball. So the plays are there to be had for Alex Smith in this offense, but it starts with the offensive line being able to protect him. You can see fewest pass yards in quite some time in the first half for Alex Smith.
One of the best field position starts to a drive for Kansas City today. And you can't overstate it enough as Spencer Ware picks up 7, just how good Solomon, Alex Smith has been as a road starter since coming over to Kansas City in 2013. Just incredible numbers as he continues to struggle today.
Well, he's always been very poised and very patient. He will just wait for the defense to make one mistake and then he'll strike. Now trying to make some plays here in the first half. You can't blame him for doing that.
He's had to do it in the face of a lot of pressure. J.J. Watt, a couple of sacks if you've just joined us. Whitney Mercilus, who has been wreaking havoc for this Houston defense, and a terrific half as well, as Vince Wilfork on the tackle of Spencer Ware. Looks like J.J. Watt, Solomon, to you, is getting back to full strength.
Well, he certainly is active today. There's no doubt about it. He looks better than he did on tape 1 week ago. And he talked about that. He says, look, I've been able to manage the way that I'm practicing. He's known to be 100% all out in practice. He's had to cut it back so that he can conserve some of that energy for game day.
Quick handoff to Ware, and that Houston defense was not fooled. It was 3rd and 2. Appears to be short. Big Vince Wilfork on another tackle, the 4-time All-Pro. No gain. It'll be 4th down coming up, and Kansas City will punt.
That wide body, hard to move him out of the center of that defense. 13 seasons now, his 2nd year in Houston. Won Super Bowls with the Patriots, but he was always the anchor for their 3-4 defense, and now he's doing the same for the Houston Texans.
11 incredible years for Wilfork in New England. He will head back to Foxborough for that big Thursday night game coming up on CBS and NFL Network. Here's Dustin Colquitt, longtime punter. Another Tennessee Volunteer. Urban backpedaling. He is going to play it. Oh, interesting decision by the rookie there. Dangerous decision in that. Tyreek Hill, one rookie to another. This kid Hill all over the place on special teams for the Chiefs, and now penalty flag is thrown. And we will get the call when we come back. No penalty after that last kick. The officials picking up the flag, and so 1st and 10, Houston from their own 6. Up 10 on the Chiefs, early stages, 3rd quarter. This is Lamar Miller, first season here in Houston after the 4 successful seasons he had in Miami. Tamba Hali among the tacklers for Kansas City.
This Chiefs defense has done a good job of keeping Lamar Miller hemmed in. Bill O'Brien talked about it. He really likes Miller, likes him in the passing game, good at protection, and can run really tough in between the tackles.
Miller had the 7th 100-yard rushing game of his career last week. And the win here over the Bears. Here's Miller again on 2nd and 9. You saw Houston have some nice home run plays in the first half as Jay Howard combines on the tackle. Here were their possessions in the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, big drives on their first 2 possessions, and then they go 3 consecutive drives where they had the punt, didn't have much success, and then they started getting those turnovers, and that's what afforded the field goal opportunity.
Just amazing to me how quiet it is in here. Houston up 10 at home. This has been a very lethargic crowd to this point. Here is Osweiler on 3rd and 6 over the middle. It's caught. That's Will Fuller, the rookie. With a big catch early, 1st down on a pass from Osweiler.
This ball is well thrown. It's a zone look, and see him just throw it right in that window. Ball was thrown maybe a little low, a little bit off target, but Fuller goes down and gets it. But it was just a really good read by Brock Osweiler and a really good catch by the rookie.
20 yards on the pass play. I do expect the crowd to quiet down a little bit when the offense is on the field, but it's been quiet today for the most part. Here's Miller again showing that dynamic running ability. Crosses the 40, close to the 45, a pickup of a dozen. Penalty marker comes in, and now a 2nd flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding, offense number 79, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's the former Kansas City Chief, Jeff Allen. There was a question mark today with a calf injury, limited in practice this week. There's that 12-yard run by Miller coming back.
Chiefs have lost some really good offensive linemen in free agency over a couple of years. You can see O'Brien's like, yeah, that's a drive killer when you have that good of a run by Miller and then it has to come back as a result of the penalty. Now you're looking at 1st and 20.
Don't have too many plays in the book for 1st and 20. Osweiler, hand off to Miller. Now, we just saw Bill O'Brien on the sideline, Salmon, and when you consider the instability that they had here his first couple of years at quarterback, 6 different starters that he had to use, really incredible what he accomplished here. 19 and 14, led them to the postseason here last year.
4 different quarterbacks started for these Houston Texans one season ago, and they still were able to go out and win the division. I think it is a testament to good coaching and ability to motivate his players.
First time we've seen Jonathan Grimes on the field. 2nd and 17 here from their own 24. Osweiler fires over the middle, and boy, that one broken up by Marcus Peters.
He nearly
Intended for
intercepted
Hopkins.
it.
You're right.
What a great break on the ball. Incredible break. Peters is one of those guys that I don't know that you want to try him too much here. He already picked off Brock Osweiler in the first quarter. You can see he had that one, but DeAndre Hopkins, what a strong right hand of Hopkins to get that ball out. That ball had been intercepted. Peters wasn't able to secure it long enough.
Guys switching roles on that play. Excellent defensive play by Hopkins. To the gate what would have been a pick by Peters. So 3rd and 17, Griffin the tight end in motion. Keep it on the ground, just try to pick up some positive yardage here. Grimes crosses the 30, tackled by Tamba Hali. Still trying to work his way into playing shape. Did not play at all in the preseason. Recovered from that offseason foot injury. He's had the chronic knees that he's had to contend with, but Pro Bowler in each of the last 5 years, Hali.
11 years out of Penn State. He's been a leader in the locker room for quite some time.
4th punt of the day by Shane Leckler. 4th season here in Houston, spending his first 9 seasons in Oakland. This is Hill. Gonna play it, dances across the 35, and a late flag coming in behind the punt team Houston on the play. 43 yards on the punt, 14 on the return by Hill.
During the return of the kick, illegal block in the back. Number 88 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Ross Travis. So Alex Smith and the Chiefs looking for some offense when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Coors Light. Whatever your mountain, climb on. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
Back with you in Houston. 8:45 to play. 3rd quarter. Here's Alex Smith and the Chiefs. Only 3 points and 136 yards of total offense. Trying to get on the board. Smith all day to throw. Everyone's covered. Smith finally takes a shot. Off the field, intended for Macklin and incomplete. Jonathan Joseph, who's been doing it for 11 seasons, there to break it up.
Great protection, and Alex Smith's going to take his time. Now look at the bunch formation up top, and look at the protection. Look how much time there. And then here's going to be Jeremy Macklin. But watch how Jonathan Joseph is able to close on this ball thrown in the air. He's able to close the distance, get underneath it to keep Macklin from making that catch. That's just great coverage. Many coverages will break down when you have all day for the quarterback, but you can see Joseph wincing in pain. Must have hurt his finger knocking that ball down.
Play clock down to 1. Smith under pressure, sacked again. Bernardrick McKinney getting Houston's 4th sack of the afternoon.
He comes right up the center. Look at him right there into the face of the quarterback, Alex Smith. Unblocked, untouched. Romeo Cornell dialing up a few blitzes to make the day miserable for Alex Smith. 4th sack of the game for this Houston Texans defense.
Loss of 8. McKinney taking over the helmet communication device in the absence of Brian Cushing, so he is their new quarterback back there until Cushing comes back. 3rd and 18. Smith over the middle. This is Hill. Making guys miss. Finally wrapped up. Brought down at around the 21. It's only a pickup of 3. McKinney is there for another play. And a miserable possession by the Chiefs.
How about McKinney making his presence felt? We know Max Bulla is playing also in place of Brian Cushing, the 8-year veteran who's out with an injury. Defense still looking good.
O'Brien was kind of worried about that. You talked about Cushing being the heart and soul of this defense. How would they fare? 1/2 plus complete. This has been a very impressive Texans defense until this point. Irvin's going to play it. A little hesitation initially. 4 yards on the return after a 37-yard punt by Colquitt. Bernardrick McKinney and this defense flexing its muscles in Houston. Here in Houston, Texans up 10. How about the wisdom of Solomon here in week 2?
Well, both teams have been successful in finding their quarterbacks in free agency. Lenny Dawson was drafted by the Steelers, then won the Chiefs their only Super Bowl title. And then how about our very own Trent Green? He was drafted by the San Diego Chargers, then led the Chiefs with an explosive offense for 6 seasons. Here in Houston, Matt Schaub was drafted by the Falcons, then won the Texans 2 division titles in becoming their all-time leading passer. And now Brock Osweiler has come to Houston via the free agent route. So both teams have been very successful finding their quarterbacks. Even Alex Smith, even though there was a trade there, had been drafted by the 49ers.
Osweiler so far 175 yards passing, and he spent some time with him as we did on Friday. He's so polished. He looks like a guy, Solomon, who was able to kind of learn from arguably the best who's ever done it for 4 years in Denver.
And I think it speaks to something about our system. Everyone thinks you have to go into the draft to find that franchise quarterback. Sometimes you got to find one that's already been schooled and tutored like Osweiler had been in Denver, and then maybe you can build upon the foundation they already have.
Injury update for the Texans. Braxton Miller, their wide receiver, has a hamstring injury and will not return. So the news not good on Miller. Osweiler trying to take a shot, intended for Fuller, and it falls incomplete. And you also have to acknowledge, you know, the big gamble that they took. There's Miller on the sideline. You know, their owner, Bob McNair, gave Rick Smith a mandate, said he wanted an upgrade at the quarterback. You give a guy $70+ million, Solomon, who only had 7 career starts under his belt.
Yeah, you better believe in that foundation, right? If you're going to cut a check for $72 million, but the brain trust here in Houston, they trust in their evaluation on Brock Osweiler. And so far, I got to tell you, it's proven to be right. I think he has all the talent to be one of the good ones in this league.
Where does he go here on 3rd and 8? Osweiler going backwards. Kansas City able to get to him. It's Tamba Hali, who's been doing it for 11+ seasons.
Oh, they just collapse the edges. Watch, they'll just come right off the edge. There's Hali and D Ford coming off that side, but they seal off the pocket. They just overwhelmed the offensive line for the Houston Texans. Brock Osweiler could do nothing with it but hold on to the football.
Osweiler becomes the 44th different quarterback that Hali has sacked in his career. Just an incredible number. Shane Leckler on to punt. And this is Hill from inside his own 15. Look at Hill. Like a video game when he's on the field. Only a yard officially on the return, but he made even that look interesting.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Well, the Houston Zoo, one of the great sights and attractions here in Houston. 10th most visited zoo in the United States. They get nearly 2 million visitors a year. Alex Smith and the Chiefs offense onto the field. Just 130 yards of total offense to this point. Getting a few right here with Spencer Ware. Another flag comes in towards the end of the play as Ware runs for 14 hard-fought yards. But is this one coming back?
Holding, offense, number 87. This penalty will be assessed half the distance to the goal and repeat first down.
Travis Kelce, that's the third holding penalty against the Chiefs.
It's really tough, you know. You're going to see it right on that left side. There's Kelce right there. That's where they're calling the holding there. Very tough to get drives started when you start off with a penalty. Penalties and turnovers we know can derail a drive, but you know, penalties can certainly kill it, because now you're looking at that 1st and 17. You're just trying to get back to even. You can get 2nd and 10 here. You'd be happy with it.
1st and 17 after the penalty. Smith over the middle, incomplete. And that a ball that Macklin should have caught again. He had to drop earlier. Kevin Johnson on the coverage.
Jonathan Joseph, Kareem Jackson, Kevin Johnson, 3 stellar corners. All 3 could be starters. We already know Joseph is a veteran of the group. Johnson, a first-round pick out of Wake Forest 1 season ago, making big plays in this game today. Able to help this Houston Texans defense tighten up. This secondary behind this defensive front, they could become one of the best.
Smith on 2nd and 17. Low pass is incomplete. Off the hands of West. And Jeremy Macklin, who set a new Kansas City receiving record last year with 87 catches, has been struggling.
Yeah, that's one big play there left on the field. That one I thought would have been tough. It was nice just to get one hand up on it, but still not able to haul it in. Remember, Pro Football Focus had him with the fewest drops of any receiver in the NFL over the last 2 years, and they grade every single play. So it's not the case here today.
Chiefs have struggled on 3rd down as well. You saw the number, 2nd, 2 of 9 on the day. They'll be well short here, needed the 24. And so West just brought down after a pickup of 8 by John Simon. And tell you what, Andy Reid noted for what a great offensive play caller he's been. Right now just can't seem to figure it out with this offense.
But they're starting every drive, what, 1st and 20, 1st and 17 with a penalty. The first play of the drive is a penalty, and then he's operating in a huge hole, and it's very difficult to dial up plays that are going to overcome that kind of deficit.
3rd straight 3 and out for the Chiefs. And Dustin Colquitt has been a busy man here as we played late in this 3rd quarter. Urban will play it, and he takes a lick. Beautiful 57-yard punt and excellent coverage down the field by DeMarcus Robinson, a rookie 4th-round pick out of Florida, making a special team stick. Well, both teams here have been very involved at the children's hospitals in their respective communities. The Chiefs visited the University of Kansas Hospital in the spring. And since joining the Texans, Devin Still has been involved at the Texas Children's Hospital. We know his story, of course, with his daughter. He hosted a spa day for patients. And well, J.J. Watt, something he takes very seriously here, taking time before every game here in Houston to spend some time with young fans in attendance. That young man, part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And one of the reasons why Watt, such a popular performer in Houston. On 1st and 10, Osweiler throws a dart. Hopkins breaking free. All the way down to the Kansas City 36. 35 yards. It was Philip Gaines who missed that initial tackle.
And what a laser from Brock Osweiler. This is a nice throw. It's going to be down at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead and roll it and take a look at it. It's working against Gaines, and there's separation right there. Look at that throw. Just an incredible throw, allowing Hopkins to make a play on it. Then he spins out of it. Gaines can't secure the tackle, and Hopkins creating a big play.
Hopkins only had 54 yards receiving last week. You see what he's done so far here at over 80. And that pass is broken up and intercepted. It's Marcus Peters again. Hopkins stumbling, and Peters was there for Kansas City.
That's what we said, Spiro. He's one of these guys that I don't know if you want to challenge him too often. Already one interception in the first quarter, nearly had another here in the second half, and then he comes away with his second interception of the game. This is the guy that tied for the league last year with 8. Hopkins tried to get a hand on it. Ball thrown just behind him. He tried to save it and keep Peters from hauling it in, but Peters is a real ball hawk. Talk about him being aggressive and instinctive, just capable of making plays and making quarterbacks live with regret.
Boy, it has been feast or famine for Marcus Peters, making an enormous play for the Chiefs. Excellent starting field position. Here's Alex Smith running the option. Little pitch play to West. Big play on first down all the way down to the Houston 30. 21 yards from West. Tackled on the play by Simon.
DeAndre Hopkins, Marcus Peters. We said at the top that this would be the matchup to watch. Early in the game, a 27-yard touchdown catch by DeAndre Hopkins. And then look at this one. Peters already had one interception, nearly had that one, and then he gets the second one here in the third quarter. So both guys are going at it. Both guys have made plays, and both guys have given up plays.
Peters, as we told you, tied for the league lead a season ago with 8 picks. Already building on that number for his career here as West going nowhere on first down. Salmon, you look up, only a 10-point game here. With all the issues that Kansas City has had offensively, still well within striking distance.
2 really good teams, and you have to give it to Marcus Peters, who had been beaten on a touchdown pass, but he gave up an even bigger pass that didn't result into a touchdown, but Will Fuller beat him for a 50-plus yard pass early in the game, and he stayed with it, and it showed that mental toughness to hang in there.
Quick pass to Macklin on 2nd and 11, but the Texans were there. Loss of a yard, tackled by Joseph.
Both defenses have been bringing it. We already showed you what Peters is giving his defense, and Tamba Hali getting to the quarterbacks. But this Houston Texans defense, 4 sacks, Jonathan Joseph, and J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, Vince Wilfork. The defense is ruling today here in Houston on both sides.
This was the 3rd-ranked defense in the NFL last season. One of the reasons why they got to 9-7 in that postseason berth. Smith, far side, it is caught. That's Wilson. Well short of the first down. They pick up 7 on the play. With that clock running and inside of a minute left in the quarter.
Boy, points are tough to come by for Andy Reid, Bill O'Brien's team as well. It means the quarterbacks have to do a good job of taking care of the football.
Santos hit from a career distance of 54 yards in the first half. And this one from 43. See if they get the play off. And they will not. So they will change sides, and Santos will try it at the other end of the field. End of the third on CBS. A rematch of that AFC wildcard game from back in January, and right now the Houston Texans up 10 as we begin the 4th. NRG Stadium in Houston. Spiro Dedes, Salmon Wilcots. 43-yard field goal attempt by Cairo Santos. This one on target and perfect. So the Chiefs trying to take advantage of Marcus Peters' 2nd pick of the afternoon as they cut the deficit to 7. Well, Thursday, your weekend starts here when these Houston Texans hit the road and head to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. We are told that the Patriots had another issue at quarterback today. Jimmy Garoppolo had to leave with an injury. It's a shoulder. And Jacoby Brissett, the young man out of Florida right now, is Bill Belichick's quarterback.
Right, quarterbacks are an asset. You got a good one, you better have one to back them up. In the Patriots case, you know, their great one was in Ann Arbor yesterday watching a college football game.
Tom Brady honored before that game at Michigan. Nice little moment having a little toss with his son on the field before the game. So 13-6 early stages of this fourth quarter. A Houston team that really had to kind of clear a psychological hurdle against this Kansas City team that has kind of owned them over the last couple of meetings, especially after what we saw here in that postseason game. Right now up 7. Kick out of bounds just before it crossed the end zone, and that just can't happen.
Kickoff out of bounds. By rule, the ball will be placed 30 yards from the spot of the kickoff. First down.
Santos had been having a good day, hit a 54-yarder earlier.
If you're the Houston Texans, though, you trail the Kansas City Chiefs by 7 points in the fourth quarter. After what we saw last week from the Chiefs, you can't feel too good about that. This Kansas City Chiefs team, very resilient, a lot of poise, trailed by 21 points entering the fourth quarter last week, and then came back to win the game, the largest come from behind victory in franchise history. So Andy Reid understands poise. His team understands adversity, and they've still been able to come away with wins.
So Dave told Kansas City's very good special teams coach pacing that sideline. This is Miller on 1st and 10, gets to the 45, a pickup of 5 yards. And this is kind of where Miller could hope to wear down opposing defenses. He's never really been an every down workhorse back in any of his previous 4 years. That's the role he wanted and has here in Houston.
There is no doubt, but he can get it done. Here's a guy that I've seen him have big time games. He was only one of 2 running backs to top 100 yards rushing in week 1. D'Angelo Williams with Pittsburgh was the other.
Texans keep it on the ground on 2nd and 5. Miller spinning his way to a first down run. 8 yards as they move the chains inside Kansas City territory.
And this is how you start to lean on the opposing defense. Start to wear them out, win the battle in terms of time of possession. Starts with the ability to run the ball. We said that was the great halftime adjustment the Houston Texans needed.
Miller over 50 yards on the ground. On 1st and 10, Miller ducks his shoulder, gets inside the 45, close to the 43. Coming up tonight, what does a submarine with 200 nuclear warheads on it look like? Find out on a new story on 60 Minutes, plus an interview with the Libertarian candidates for president tonight. 60 Minutes. That clock now becomes Houston's friend, 13 and counting. In a 7-point game here in week 2 in Houston. A delayed handoff to Miller. A pickup of 3. So this is the quietest football stadium I've ever been in. It's like a library in here.
It's comfortable. that Bob McNair has created a house that really helps his fans to remain comfortable. You know, outside it's hot, it's sticky, it's humid. You and I
it's nice and cool for sure.
You've been here for the weekend, but now inside here, it's, boy, you almost want to take a nap. But we have ourselves a good football game going on.
A game with so much importance for both of these teams early in the season. Osweiler, a bullet to Hopkins. 6 more yards as he and Peters continue to battle. First down, Houston.
They're both competitors. Look at that. Good press, man-to-man, turn in, look at the ball. If that ball isn't right on Hopkins when he turns around, then Peters is going to be able to make a play. So you can't speak enough about the timing that Osweiler has with Hopkins and the trust to anticipate that he could cut it loose knowing Hopkins is going to turn around and snag it.
Osweiler audibilizes at the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the 33. Miller on the ground. Simon, you look at the production that DeAndre Hopkins had last year with all the instability at quarterback to set all the records that he did. Now you add some of these pieces. New quarterback, Will Fuller, the home run threat. He is scary what this guy could become and get even better.
Oh, Hopkins is truly one of the best. We talked about the numbers he put up. Look where he ranked in the top 10, just about every single category. And he was targeted a lot. Tremendous workload, as you said, with 4 different quarterbacks. And now there's greater stability and talent around him.
Osweiler again has time, and this is Fuller as he approaches the 100-yard mark for his 2nd straight game to begin his career. 14 yards and another 1st down.
Oh, that's the talent around Hopkins we were talking about. Will Fuller, they used that 1st-round pick to get him out of Notre Dame. He talked about how Notre Dame really prepared him to play in a pro-style system. Even Bill O'Brien said some of the kids come out and maybe not understand the route tree, understand progression, and able to read coverages at the line of scrimmage. Fuller can get it done.
Fedorowicz in motion. This is Miller again. Fuller telling us how Bill O'Brien recruited him to Penn State. Fuller initially committed, then decommitted, and once they got into the draft process, O'Brien told Rick Smith, "Well, I'm not losing this kid again." As they took him 21st overall in the draft, and what a decision that appears to be. And 2nd straight game where some of these new offensive faces have performed very well. Fuller over the 100-yard mark with 4 catches from Osweiler. 9th play of the drive is blown up behind the line of scrimmage by Eric Berry, the Pro Bowl safety.
Take a look. Eric Berry is just very active. Coming off that corner, slammed the door shut on Lamar Miller. Speaking of Miller and Osweiler and Fuller, as you had mentioned, there's only 3 returning starters on the offensive side of the ball for the Houston Texans from 1 season ago. That's almost a complete overhaul in terms of the personnel on your offense.
Osweiler on 3rd and 5. That pass incomplete. Off the hands of Jonathan Grimes. There is a flag thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding, offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 3rd down.
It's Chris Clark making the 2nd straight start for the injured Dwayne Brown. And that is the 4th hold against Houston.
Remember, Bill O'Brien told us that we wanted to be a quick strike offense. If we want to go 16-play drive, that's good, but we need to be able to score sometimes on a 3-play drive. And that's why they went out and acquired some of the talent that we just talked about, Lamar Miller and Will Fuller, to go along with DeAndre Hopkins. But this has been a nice, long, drawn-out drive. 9 plays. They've been able to run it, throw it. Yeah, there's times when you do want to slow it down, eat clock, and still be able to answer and put points on the board.
Chiefs elected to decline the penalty, so field goal from 31 yards out. See what Novak has done. He missed earlier from 57. Snap, good hold, and Novak is good to make this a 2-score lead for the Texans. Houston looking for a 2nd straight win to open their season up 10 on CBS. 31-yard field goal by Nick Novak makes it a 10-point lead for the Houston Texans. Sellout crowd, NRG Stadium. And what was a very highly anticipated Week 2 matchup in the AFC, the Houston Texans. Opening day victory here over Chicago last Sunday, and Kansas City. We know how resilient this team is. Biggest come-from-behind win in their 56-year history a week ago Sunday against the Chargers. They were down 24-3 early in the 3rd quarter before Alex Smith led them back. If you've just joined us, Kansas City just 165 yards of total offense. And right now their confidence level very low offensively. Here's Here's Tyreek Hill, going to play it from right around his own end zone. Makes the initial guy miss, as he has been doing for the first couple of weeks. Once again, good field position that he will hand to Alex Smith. 33 yards on the return by the rookie out of West Alabama. Stay with us.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Progressive, handing off big savings to you. Walmart, save money, live better. And by the Lincoln Motor Company and the exhilarating new Lincoln MKZ.
Those are pretty boots. I love those.
Back inside NRG Stadium, can this Kansas City offense kick into high gear? Down 10 with 9 and change left in this fourth quarter. Alex Smith on first down, has his man. It's Ware wide open. No flags and a big first down to kickstart their drive. 34 yards from Smith.
This is how you get it started. Look, he'll come out of backfield and finds his way right down that seam, right on the numbers. And they're able to split that zone. He tripped himself, but that was well designed by Andy Reid, well executed by Alex Smith.
Biggest completion of the day for Smith. On 1st and 10, dangerously thrown pass there, intended for Maclin. Spencer Ware last week at 129 yards receiving on 7 catches. He is a dual threat out of that backfield.
And this is where you'll see the Chiefs, after making that play to Ware, this is where they'll pick up the tempo. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean huddle up in between plays, but coming off the ball, coming off the line of scrimmage after the ball is snapped. That's when you'll see them pick up the tempo post-snap, taking it to the defense.
Second and 10. Smith's pass broken up and incomplete. Off the hands of Albert Wilson. Kareem Jackson was right there for the Texans.
And that was meant to be another quick hitting play. Right around the sticks, right around that 25-yard line. Now, the ball's going to be a little high for Wilson, but he's got to be able to look, haul that one in. But Kareem Jackson, I think, just did a really good job of separating Wilson from the ball, who appeared to have had it right in his hands.
You see the third down conversions where Kansas City has had virtually no success so far in this game. 3rd and 10. Smith has time and finds Maclin. First down pickup, 16 yards inside the Houston 20.
Reason why these quick hitting plays, as you see Maclin in the slot while they're working, they're getting the ball out of the hands quickly, but that helps the protection up front. Now you see he's got some room to operate in the passing game.
Smith on 1st and 10, off target, trying to find Conley.
And J.J. Watt was leaking through that offensive line. Just as I said, the protection's holding up. You can see Alex Smith knows he could have had that one. You can see, look at just the pass yards by quarter. Huge separation for the Houston Texans, except here in the fourth quarter.
Second and 10. Smith has time. Gonna run it. And quickly converged on by Clowney. And that Houston defense officially, it's a pickup of a yard. And now big play call here by Andy Reid on 3rd and 9.
Here's Spencer Ware. Take a look at Ware. See, now he's open. But at that time, Alex Smith had come off the progression and came over to the left side of the field.
Biggest play of the day for the Chiefs. Smith escapes the sack, stumbling away. Simon giving chase, and it's incomplete. Intended for Ware. As once again, Kansas City's drive after that big play to start stalls. A.J. Boye was there on the coverage.
This is what J.J. Watt talked about, the slippery mobility of Alex Smith. While it didn't look pretty, it was enough to save the sack. It was enough for him to throw it away and not lose yards, setting up Santos for a closer field goal as opposed to being much further away.
Santos has hit from 54 and 43. This time from 35 yards out to try to cut it to 7. Good snap, good hold, and Santos is good. So the Kansas City Chiefs inching a little bit closer. 7-point game on CBS. Kansas City Chiefs, winners of 11 straight regular season games, longest streak in their history. Able to cut the deficit to 7.
You can see Jeremy Maclin, Alex Smith, they're all trying to get on the same page. And just not as consistent in terms of clicking in the passing game as we saw 1 week ago.
And this time, Tyler Ervin wisely decides to take a knee and give his offense the football at the 25. Tightly contested game coming down the stretch in Houston.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway Restaurants and by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Boy, even the Ultimate Warrior looks subdued here in Houston. A little nervous, perhaps, as the Texans lead down to 7. 7:34 to play, fourth quarter. Can't overstate the importance of this game. Two teams that were in the postseason a year ago, looking for a second straight win to begin their season. Brock Osweiler back onto the field. They begin from their own 25. This is Lamar Miller. 21st carry of the afternoon, now approaching 70 yards. What about some strategy now, Solomon? Up 7 if you're George Godsey in this offense.
Well, you're not in a hurry to do anything. You certainly have to protect the football. I think you have to be able to pound the running game. You know you're going to get it to third down, but you want to make it third and manageable and then convert those plays with a passing game.
Saw Godsey second season here as the Texans offensive coordinator. Play action from Osweiler on 2nd and 7, finding Hopkins for a first down completion. 9 yards. Justin March Lillard, the second-year linebacker there on the tackle.
And this is what I'm talking about. Short, quick hitting plays, high level of execution in terms of the percentage of success. That slant route, in-breaking route, something we said that the Chiefs defense had struggled with 1 week ago against San Diego. So easy completion for Osweiler. I expect him to maybe even go back to the running game with Lamar Miller.
There's Miller on first down trying to find the edge. And the other thing about Osweiler, Solomon, he's very even-keeled. As with that, we will switch gears, send you to New York. Let's get an update now from JB.
21 unanswered by Miami.
Yeah, down 31-3. This third touchdown here is Kenyon Drake from 7 yards out. They cut the lead to 31-24. 6 minutes to go in that game. It's a close one.
Back to Spiro, and make sure Mrs. Wilcox knows I said Solomon.
I know it. I hear you, JB. We greatly appreciate it.
Interesting game there coming down the stretch. We'll keep you posted on that one between Miami and New England. Miller showing a nice little second effort. Frank Sambo eventually on the tackle, but Miller able to get 6 yards and another first down.
Now you might say, well, okay, this isn't exciting. But remember a year ago when they lost Arian Foster to injury, they couldn't close out ball games by pounding the running game. They constantly had to dink and dunk and try to keep the clock running. But Bill O'Brien brought Lamar Miller here for these reasons. When you have a lead, you get 5 minutes left in a game, you want to be able to pound the running game, eat clock, force the opponent to burn their timeouts in order to manage time.
C.J. Fedorowicz in motion. That clock continues to run now inside of 5 minutes left. I told you about Miller. He had the career-high 28 carries last week. He didn't get his 28th carry last season, Solomon, until week 3 for Miami, so he's fresh. Only had 177 attempts the entire season. He's been waiting for this moment and right now trying to put this offense on his back and put this game on ice.
Well, those were the expectations when he came over. In free agency, when the team is recruiting you and wanting to bring you in, they clearly spell out what the role is, what they expect from you when you come to their football team, and Lamar Miller signed up.
6th play of the drive, 2nd and 6. Kansas City, all 3 of their timeouts left. Salman, when do you start thinking about taking him here? It looks like we will get the first timeout, so Andy answers that question before I could even get it out.
Yeah, I think it was smart because what he's hoping is stop the clock and then get a stop on 3rd down and force the punt here. If the defense start allowing a first down, or at least on this 3rd down play, that's when they'll start to hemorrhage on time, and they'll have to start to burn more of their timeouts.
Well, if you've just joined us, just kind of reset what's at stake here. Kansas City, 11 straight regular season wins, have not lost a regular season game since week 6 of last season, a game in Minnesota. There's Bob Sutton, their defensive coordinator, trying to get his unit off the field right here with the Chiefs down 7. Quick snap, quick throw. This is Grimes, first down and more. I'm not sure the Chiefs were ready.
How about this? I am sure they weren't ready. That was quick snap. Before they can get lined up defensively, they outflanked them. Look, they're not out there. You can see Derek Johnson, 56, trying to get out there in time. He's not able to get over there, and Gaines had to come off the block to try to get the tackle. So they caught him off guard with the quick snap and were able to outflank the defense to create an easy first down for the Texans.
And that's the recognition you want from your quarterback, Brock Osweiler. 13 yards on the catch and run by Jonathan Grimes. You rarely see Derek Johnson, their all-time leading tackler, out of position on 1st and 10. It's Alfred Blue, the 3rd-year runner, starter for about half of last season after Arian Foster went down to injury. And now the 2nd timeout taken by Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Coming up, most of you will see the Colts and the Broncos get together. First matchup between those two franchises, not including Peyton Manning since 1993. That'll take place in the Mile High City, or the Falcons and the Raiders. Check your local listings. With a couple of nice games coming up in the late window.
I want to go back to that 3rd down play. It's not that Derek Johnson was caught off guard. What happens is he has to identify the personnel. What is that? If that's a receiver lined up out there, he's not going to run over there. He has to be able to identify. He sees it's a running back, and that's why he was late getting into position. Give Osweiler credit for snapping it very quickly.
So the Chiefs down to their final timeout. 3:58 to play. This is 2nd and 6. Alfred Blue going nowhere.
Look at Parker. He slashes through there like a linebacker coming downhill, and he's a safety making that play to tackle for a loss.
So Ron Parker on the stop, and now the Chiefs will take their final timeout. So no timeouts left, only the 2-minute warning. And you're putting a lot on your defense's back here. So I'm going to try to get off the field on 3rd and 7.
Well, yeah, defensively, if you get to 3rd and 7, that's a favorable position. Now, what they need to do is really be alert, call alert, and understand that you've got to get yourself lined up appropriately to be able to stop the Texans from converting an easy first down like they did on the last 3rd down play when they caught the defense off guard.
The Kansas City defense minus their star, Justin Houston again. Can they get a stop here on 3rd and 7? Osweiler has time. Marker comes in behind the line of scrimmage. That pass into the hands of Peters. He's out of bounds. Once again in a battle with DeAndre Hopkins.
Illegal use of the hands, hands of the face, offense number 71.
Well, we'll see what Andy Reid elects to do here.
You could decline it, or you could back them up. If you
10-yard penalty repeats 3rd down.
Yeah, if you think they're going to kick a field goal, you don't want to give them points, right? So you go ahead and back them up. There's the hand to the face right there. To the face of Chris Jones.
So a 7-point Houston lead. These two teams that met here in the AFC wild card last January. Coming down to the final couple of minutes. 3rd and 17 after the penalty. Osweiler surveys the defense over the middle. Hopkins has it. Boy, he is right at that first down marker. Philip Gaines on the tackle.
He reached out beyond that first down marker. I don't know if the spot's going to give it to him, but he reached that ball out. What I thought was across the 25-yard line before he hit the ground. But what an incredible catch in very tight coverage.
Well, a couple of things. Even if they don't have it here, they're able to run the clock down a little bit more and get into much better field goal range.
Take a look at this. Ah, yeah, that knee did go down. Great spot by the officials. See, watch that knee go down.
This is a reviewable play.
Right there. Before he was able to stick that hand out.
So Houston electing to take a timeout. No challenge flag coming out just yet from Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, you're not going to mess around here. You're going to kick the field goal. You go ahead and try to take the points here. And count on Novak to nail this one for you.
So much talk about the new offensive weapons. You look down at that stat sheet at this point. DeAndre Hopkins, 7 catches for 113 yards. And Will Fuller, the 5th, a rookie, 104 yards as he breaks the century mark for his 2nd straight game to begin his NFL career. Nick Novak on to attempt a 50-yard field goal. This is a low kick, and it is good. Just barely.
Whoa, hearts would have sank had that not made it through. Would have given the Chiefs new life. That ball, it didn't have a purpose when it left. It was quite shaky. I'm not so sure. This is a knuckleball, Spiro. Look at that.
Wow. Even the mascot was nervous. And you could hear a capacity crowd here all exhale.
Look at Bill O'Brien. He's
simultaneously.
Like, really? Are you kidding me?
71,000 plus here at NRG Stadium.
That was a big kick. That was huge.
It makes it a 2-score game here. Now keep in mind the Chiefs are out of timeouts. Only have that 2-minute warning to stop the clock. So Novak 4 of 5 on field goals this afternoon. 19-9 Houston. There's Bill O'Brien, 19-14 as the Texans coach, the 46-year-old Massachusetts native, 3rd season here in Houston. Says he still hasn't gotten over that postseason loss to Kansas City. Just such a tough way to end what was just a remarkable turnaround last year. Able to get to 9-7 after that sub-500 start over the first half of the season. This is Tyreek Hill up the sideline. Hill will score. There is a flag back at the 35 of the Chiefs. 105 yards.
That kid has
by the rookie out of West Alabama.
For days. Speed kills. Woo.
Tony Correnti is our referee.
During the return of the kick, holding, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, it'll be first down.
Got to take a look right there. Right there, the block in the back. And then the flag comes out right there. But what a run.
Tony Correnti did not give a number, but it looked from our vantage point like it was number 20, Steve Nelson, whom Solomon just pointed out, right around the 25-yard line. So a 105-yard return by Tyreek Hill negated. Keep in mind they had that Nile Davis kick return touchdown here to begin the postseason victory in the wild card game. So Alex Smith down 10, brings the offense back onto the field. 1st and 10 pass is caught. That's the tight end Travis Kelce, but a pickup of only 3.
A.J. Aboye deserves a lot of credit because Travis Kelce is a very good football player, and he's caught 3 balls today, but not the huge breakout games. That's his 4th catch, actually, but not that huge breakout game like we've seen in the previous 2.
Smith on 2nd and 7 finds Chris Conley, second-year receiver out of Georgia, former 3rd-round pick. They pick up 10, and Conley able to get out of bounds and stop the clock as they move to James.
Yeah, no timeouts, and so that means Kansas City Chiefs, when they throw the ball, they're going to want to throw towards the boundary where they can make a catch and step out like you saw with Conley. Now, if you're the defense for the Houston Texans, you have to know that. You still close off the middle of the field, but if you're guarding a receiver on the perimeter, jump the out-breaking route.
Alex Smith has thrown for only $125 today. Up the middle, this is Spencer Ware on the catch and run. Crosses the 35, close to the 40. 14 more yards, as that will likely take us to the 2-minute warning. Bernardrick McKinney on the tackle. 2-minute warning in Houston. The Chiefs looking for some late game magic for a 2nd straight week. Final 2 minutes in Houston. Kansas City down 2 scores. 10-point game. Trying to continue their franchise best regular season winning streak. Smith under pressure again, sidesteps the sack and finds Kelce. Smith that time having to throw off his back foot again. He's been under pressure all day. A pickup of 7.
A.J. Aboye came right up the gut. It looked like he was going to sack Alex Smith, but he was able to sidestep him and still get off the pass.
Where does Smith go here? Delivering far side, finds Macklin. Out of bounds, clock stop, 92 seconds remaining in a 10-point game. Reminder to stay tuned for the NFL Today update. Time permitting, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from our studios in New York. Andy Reid scouring his play sheet with 1:32 remaining.
He said that all offseason he talked with Alex Smith, said, hey, let's start taking some shots down the field, allow our playmakers opportunities to make plays. They're going to look for the talented receiver, one of them who's in man-to-man one-on-one coverage.
Smith over the middle, incomplete, and a late flag from the Houston secondary. Macklin, the intended receiver. Andre Howell make it Kareem Jackson on the coverage.
Good protection.
Pass interference. Defense number 25. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul and an automatic 1st down.
The intended receiver was Jeremy Macklin. Again, if they feel like they have the matchup advantage, Macklin against Kareem Jackson, crossing the middle of the field, and watch the hook around the waist of Macklin. Now you can put the arm on that waist, you just can't hook them and turn the shoulders as the ball is approaching.
Fresh set of downs for the Chiefs, but they're running out of time with $1:28 remaining. Smith near side, Macklin over the shoulder with the catch. Clock stops at 1:23 to play as he beats Kevin Johnson. 10 yards and another 1st down.
Just really good footwork by Macklin. We saw him drop a couple balls earlier in this game, but look, secure catch there, 2 feet in. That was close. It was more close than it should have been.
Excellent concentration by Macklin, who's dropped a couple today. This has been a textbook 2-minute drive so far by Alex Smith. First and 10 from the 15. Here come the Texans. Smith going end zone. Kelce trying to make a one-handed touchdown catch. A.J. Aboye was right there with him.
Better throw here from Alex Smith. Don't force the high one-handed catch, but put it on the body of Travis Kelce. good coverage by Aboye, but he's climbing up the back of Kelsey. Kelsey's like a power forward coming down with a rebound. He's got a huge pass catching radius, but you don't want him to have to go up and try to haul it in with one hand.
The Chiefs trying to come from behind for a second straight week. 2nd and 10. And this one looks to be an offside. It was Mitchell Schwartz who moved early.
That's the crowd noise, the silent count. He was too quick.
False start. Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty will remain. 2nd down.
Killer.
Hey, you know, if you were going against J.J. Watt right there, you jump too. Got to get that quick set. J.J. Watt can turn that corner in a hurry.
Schwartz, among the top-graded pass-blocking tackles in the NFL. He's had some success. And J.J. Watt, with a couple of sacks, got him to jump early. More flags coming in.
You said it wasn't loud in here.
False start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. It will remain. 2nd down.
That's Eric Fisher.
You woke everyone up here, Spiro Dedes. You said this crowd was sleepwalking. They weren't into the game. And now here it is with the game on the line. They're making their presence felt and making an impact on this game, drawing both offensive tackles to jump before the ball is snapped.
3rd penalty today on Eric Fisher alone. 2nd and 25. Macklin on the catch. Down to the 11. And again, the Chiefs unable to stop the clock here. No timeouts, 65 seconds left. They're down 10.
Which is why the middle of the field was open.
3rd and 7. Smith, wobbly pass, incomplete. Trying to find Macklin. 4th and 7.
He didn't set his feet. He was in between running for it and throwing it. He couldn't really make up his mind. He likes to press the line of scrimmage in those situations, and we know how good he is at breaking and slipping past tacklers to create something with his legs. He didn't commit to the throw fully, where he was in between running it and throwing it.
Andy Reid will try to make this a one-score game to set up what would be a potential game-turning onside kick. Santos hitting from 54, 43, and 35 earlier. And this one is good from 30, so a 7-point game here. And now they'll set up for the onside kick, 49 seconds remaining, as Kansas City's long regular season winning streak hangs in the balance. See, the last successful onside kick that they had was all the way back in November of 2009. There have been 12 attempts since that point, as all eyes now on Santos and Dave Toub's special teams unit.
But as we mentioned, coming back from a 21-point deficit 1 week ago, you can still see the sense of calm with this football team. They're not panicked. They understand that, hey, you have to execute the onside kick. A few things have to happen for it to go their way, but they appear to be at least calm, steely-eyed in the midst of the moment.
The Texans felt like they owed the Chiefs one today. Not only lost that playoff game here by 30, so Kansas City also beat them in the opening game of the season last year. 27-20 final. So here's Santos. 49 seconds left. Trying to get the football back to Alex Smith. That one did not have the bounce he was looking for. DeAndre Hopkins able to recover. And now the Texans can put this game on ice.
They could just take a knee, and the Houston Texans with that, yeah, they are able to exercise some demons from 1 year ago. They lost to Kansas City Chiefs week 1 of the 2015 season, and then 30-0 in a playoff game where Brian Hoyer threw 4 interceptions, And the Houston Texans didn't even feel like they were part of the playoffs after that dreadful home loss.
Solomon, it wasn't pretty, but when you look at how good this defense is, how good they were last year, certainly same could be said this year, and this emerging improved offense, this could be a team to be reckoned with as we get deeper into the season in the AFC.
Yeah, and we talk about it, J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, who seems to be coming into his own. Bernardrick McKinney stepped in and played very well, and Whitney Merciless. They just have so many really good, fundamentally sound football players who are tough and physical and play the way Bill O'Brien likes.
Longest active streak in the NFL now owned by the Houston Texans. 5th straight win in regular season play as the Kansas City Chiefs see their 11-game regular season streak come to an end. Their first loss in a regular season game since week 6 of last season. Special thanks to our crew, Jonathan Siegel, Andy Goldberg, Alana Campbell, Scott Martin, Russ DeLynn, and our spotter, Rich Gaynor. Stay tuned for the NFL Today update. We send you to JB in New York on CBS.